Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Magnet Monday. We are so excited to have you here with us. We have a special session today because we have a very dear friend of ours here with us. Erica, how are you? First of
Hi,
all.
my love. Happy Monday. Welcome,
Happy
Evelyn.
Monday.
Hi, guys.
I'm glad that you guys are joining us today. And we have our lovely Evelyn Lopez here today. And she is just one of our dearest friends. We've known her for a while now, and she has an amazing company, and she's partnering up today with J&E. So we are so excited to have you on our show today. Evelyn, can you tell us a little bit about yourself so that our audience can get to know you?
Yes. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited. And a little bit about me. So my name is Evelyn Lopez, and I am the owner and founder of Paramount Coordinating Group. We're a closing management company. Transaction coordinating is what we specialize, but we do so much more. And I currently run the company, obviously with my experience and just what I'm able to bring to the real estate industry, along with a team, which we'll talk a little bit about later. But that's basically what it is.
Fantastic. And that is so amazing. Give us a little short version how you became involved in the real estate industry and how long ago was that?
Whew, okay, so that was a long time ago. I started real estate when I bought my first house. Actually, I was 20 years old, and I remember going to the closing and being very curious as to what had just happened. And I started at a very small title company in Coral Springs, doing post-closing. I didn't know what title was. I didn't know what real estate was. I just knew that I loved the experience that I had when I closed. And I just started calling every single title company around where I lived and asked them if they were hiring, that I was willing to learn, if they were willing to teach. And I found one that said, well, you can start at post-closing. We don't pay much, but we can teach you whatever you want to learn. And I started that way. I started post-closing. I remember being just very intrigued by what happened. Obviously, we know post-closing is towards the end. So just being able to see the culmination of what would happen with these people, purchasing and selling their homes, it was fascinating to me. So from then on, I would go to the different people, different positions, asking, well, what do you do? Oh, I do whatever, I'm a closer. And I would say, if you're willing to teach me, I'm willing to learn. And I was in that company for about 3.5 years, and I went from post-closing to being a closer in that short period of time, because I would just ask. I would go up to the closers. Back then, obviously, everyone did different positions, and I would say, can I sit in a closing with you? I want to know what you do. And of course, they would look at me like, why? Nobody ever asks that. Like, everybody stays in their own lane.
Right.
But I couldn't do that. So I learned pretty much everything from beginning to end in that first job. And then, of course, obviously, from then on, I just progressed to just, I'd done everything from auditing with underwriters to policies to obviously the actual closings, thousands and thousands of physical closings, auctions, foreclosures, short sales. We could talk about it all day. So I've done it all. And, obviously that's where my passion just grew. And real estate, I can tell everybody, I've been doing it forever, but you never know everything, right? There's always something new to learn. And I'm always so eager to learn. I'm always so eager to see how things can be done different, better. It's not about working harder, but about working smarter. So I always applied that when I was in title, and I just got better as time went by. I was eager to learn, and I was lucky enough that people were willing to teach me. So I soaked it all in.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that you shared that, because a lot of people, they're afraid because they don't know something. Maybe they have a desire in their heart to start a business, but they don't know how to or whatever. You can always start by working at some place that, does what you want to do, and then just tell them to learn, tell them to teach you. Basically, you want to learn and all of that, and you're getting paid to learn. And then you're going to have the tools and resources that you need to start your own business. So speaking about owning a business, we want to know what triggered basically you starting the Paramount Coordinating Group.
That was 5 years ago. Paramount Coordinating Group was started. I think everyone says, right, things start out of passion, or you want something, and in order for that to happen, you have to change. So I worked in the title industry for 17 years, and I'm a mom as well of 2 beautiful children. My daughter at the time was 7, and she was not spending too much time with me. So I would go to work from 8:30 to 5:30. I would drop her off at 8, pick her up at 6, and bedtime was 8. So that was just killing me, to be honest with you. So I really wanted to make a career choice that would still allow me to pursue the passion that I had developed for real estate, but allow me to spend time with my kids. And I of course could have opened my own title company. I had the knowledge and I had the contacts, everything that you could do it, but it's, it's the same thing, right? I would be out of the household. So I sort of just studied more. I guess you pay attention to who you work with. I work with investors, lenders, obviously every single person you can think of in the real estate transaction and title. And I just kind of said, okay, where do I feel like I can possibly bring value? Where can I feel a void? Where do I feel like I am perhaps doing more of here, sitting at, from a title angle that I could, kind of just go in and maybe become very good at. So that was a transaction coordinating. I definitely was working with some at the time. Most buyers and sellers would come to me because I always picked up the phone, because I was always nice, because I always was respectful of their questions. Sometimes buyers, it's their first time and they ask a lot of questions, or they receive phone calls or emails or no information. And somehow, people in the industry think that they're just supposed to know, and they don't. So I saw that I was very, very respected in title. I saw that when I would go into a closing with someone, I already knew the name of their kids, how many dogs they had, how excited they were about the home. I would take pictures with them. And I just loved that. I felt like they really felt that whatever I was doing in the transaction was bringing them a lot of value and a lot of happiness. So I decided to open Paramount Coordinating Group. At first, it was going to be something part-time. I was like, let me see if I even like it. And then it just turned out where I just kind of said, I'm just going to go all full on. I'm married, and you're bringing obviously a portion of the household income in, right? So I had to speak to my husband. I was like, look, I don't know where this is going to go. I never dreamed of having my own business, but the desire to spend time with my kids was greater than any fear that I had. To be honest with you, greater than any fear that we had as a couple. We spoke about it, and I told them, look, I really want to be home with her. And, my son was smaller, so it wasn't as, when you're 7, and she was just obviously needing more of her mom. So I did it. That was April of 2017 was when I officially I gave like a 3-month notice for my title company. I trained whoever was coming on board, and then I just started. And it's the best decision that I've made professionally, I have to say. I think there's something to be said when you do something with passion and you do something with love. And like I said, wanting to just fill a void, right? Wanting to help these people that when I was a first-time home buyer, right? Maybe the help wasn't there, or when I see others that they don't know where to go, I have a question, I don't know who to ask. And I like to be that resource for them. So that's how Paramount came too.
Love it. That's amazing. That sometimes you start and you don't know how, and you're like, okay, I'm passionate about this, and this is what I'm going to do moving forward. So are you doing this by yourself, or do you have a team that you work with?
I have to say, I am so blessed. I have an incredible team. Right now, we're 6, and we are super, super in sync on how to do everything. We do weekly trainings with our entire team. We make sure we show them exactly what they need to do and how they need to do it to support me. So the way that our team is structured is I am, of course, the face of the company. Buyers and sellers speak to me. I do bring an incredible wealth of knowledge, not only in, obviously the real estate, but just the what happens before, even sometimes after, right? So they support me, obviously, with the non-money making skills that we tell agents to kind of give us to do, right? They call associations. They do so many different tasks that would keep me on the phone for longer than I already am. So I do have an incredible team that is very, very well trained by myself and my accounts manager to just make sure that they put themselves in the position of that buyer, in the position of that seller. When we send introduction emails out, let's be as informative as possible. If it was you buying your first home, or who knows, selling your 50th home, right? Would you want to get a bunch of emails or a little vague information, or would you like to get an email that's precise, that's professional, that's informative, right? That gives you everything in one place, so you don't have to wonder, did I get everything? Did I not? So we're very, very blessed to have them. And again, bringing all the knowledge that I have. They're sort of in a position, some of them where I was, where they're willing to learn, and I'm willing to teach. Right? I do absolutely nothing by having all this knowledge in my brain and not sharing it with the world, right? If there's someone that calls me and says, hey, Evelyn, I really need your help with this, and it's something that I can help them with, I do. So I do the same with my team. I tell them, I'm going to continue to teach you. I'm going to continue to explain to you why, right? Why do we do that? Why do we ask for a document? Why do we insist on certain things? Why do we not do that? Because I think sometimes companies are very eager to just teach, right? Like just do it because I said so. And
Right.
where our culture is, no, I want you to learn, because for all I know, I'm not going to do this forever, right? So if this means you're going to go and open your own company, or this is going to teach you discipline, or this is going to teach them what they taught me, right? That you can learn something new every day and not get bored with your career. And if you come to work and you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. So I have an incredible team. They support me. They look out for me. I'm able to do things like this, and things continue to flow. They all monitor my emails. They obviously monitor my WhatsApp. We have a lot of international clients. So we've set it up so that everything gets covered. So if I'm not physically sitting at my desk, it still gets taken care of as if it was me. And that was important for me, right? Because I think we all, I cannot say that we're not control freaks. That's part of real estate. That's part of owning a business. That's part of having the knowledge that you have. I was taught old school, right? I was taught that showing up is not enough. You have to work. You have to work really hard, and you have to not just be ordinary. You have to be extraordinary every day. So me being able to share that with them and saying, look, I want you to be the best that you can be, and let me teach you how to be like that. I don't want you to show up to work. Evelyn told me to press a button all day. No, I want you to come in and know why you're pressing that button. And after you press that button, what happens after, right? And how does it affect the person that you're pressing that button for? So we do, every Thursday, we do meetings with them, about an hour, hour and a half. We answer all their questions, as we do, of course, as on the other days. But my team is incredible, and I could not, be more thankful to God just to putting every single one of them in my path. My longest team member just turned on Saturday 4 years. And she's been with us for, obviously for then, and she's been when it was just us, and then she's seen the growth, and I love her. So it's amazing that we're able to provide, help for so many that really want to learn, because not everybody wants to teach. So that's my team.
No, that's good. And
Awesome.
and it's good that you mentioned, that you have a culture of, partnership with your employees, because you teach them and they learn and they give, obviously they care about the business as well. So it's like a little family. But I also like that you mentioned that you go above and beyond for your clients, because that's part of the brand. So I am a social media marketing specialist, basically. So every time I talk about branding, people get surprised that I tell them it's not about your logo, it's not about, your colors, your font, it's about who you are and what you bring to the table. So the fact that you mentioned that clients can rely on you because you always pick up the phone, that's part of your brand. And I have a question. Why do you call yourself a closing specialist and not a transaction coordinator? Like, what's the difference there for you?
Oh, that's a really, really good question. Thank you for asking that, because I don't think anybody's ever asked that. So when I came in, of course, I was a transaction coordinator. That is what I chose to do. And everyone before me named, that's their title. And as I came into the industry, of course, I saw a completely different side of the industry, right? I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. There was things about transaction coordinating I didn't know I was supposed to do. I didn't know, anyway, at the end of the day, we learn, right? And I realized that a lot of the perception of a transaction coordinator is that person comes in, they get the contract, they keep the dates, and they make sure everything's fully executed properly. And there's so much more that we offer here at Paramount Coordinating Group. It is phone support. It is being able to help work with everybody in the team, right? I'm not shy of picking up the phone and calling either, whether it's a lender, an association, somebody that's not answering my team, to just get answers. And I think that what you said about going above and beyond, that's a culture that is so missed these days. People just, as I said before, you show up and the ordinary has become extraordinary, right? And that's the culture that we live in. And I've been doing real estate for so long, for a very long time. It wasn't just about that. You had to come in and you had to bring value to your employer, which ultimately provided value to your clients. And that's what I want. Well, that's what I know I bring. So I decided to change it because, I am, transaction coordinator. I go, okay, that's great. No, I am a closing specialist. I specialize in making sure that transaction gets closed. So there's going to be transactions in which is going to be totally quiet. It's going to be normal, right? Those wonderful ones that we all love. And then there's those that are not so wonderful, where you have to call the association every day,
Yeah.
right? You have to call the lender. You have to find out why is it that an addendum is not fully executed? Where is the closing disclosure? Did we review it? Again, we could just completely go into so much detail of what goes into that transaction. And when I came in, it's like, oh, you're a transaction coordinator, you keep dates. I'm like, no, I do a lot more than that. I mean, that sounds really easy, and then
Yeah.
I sort of just felt like it was necessary to bring to light that what Paramount does is exactly that, right? Is just above and beyond. It is more than what I guess the label is, or the label would bring. And I just felt that it was very necessary to change it and to give people a little bit of an insight of what do we specialize in. I specialize. My entire team specializes in getting that close, and a lot goes into that. It's not just keeping dates. So I changed it and never looked back.
Awesome.
That's so good
Yes, absolutely.
that you mentioned that, because now people can know specifically how to count on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just about, like you said, about keeping dates.
Yes. I thought it was important that I brought to light why is it that I would change the name, and that's definitely because of that. I think that there's so much more that we do as a company, and so much value that we bring to a team that any agent decides to have us join. And like I said, we all want perfect transactions, right? They're beautiful. You keep the dates, you make sure all the addendums are signed, everyone's happy, everyone's great. But it's those transactions that really do come along, and they're all more often than we want them to now. Who you have in your team matters, and that was really, really important for me. So closing special, I think it's a great fit. We specialize in getting your transaction closed, whatever it takes.
Awesome. That's awesome. We also have a question for you. What makes you and PCG different from all other companies out there, all these other transaction coordinators that I see popping up all the time? What makes you different? What makes you unique? I know you mentioned it a little bit already, but I just want to hear from like details, so everybody that's listening to us and will listen to us later in YouTube can see the difference.
I have to say, I definitely have a few very big differences, because obviously, as everyone else, we all know what is provided by our competitors, especially because I was in title and I was on the receiving end of transaction coordinating services, because we do very much work with the title company. It's a partnership that is just so important. I am 100% accessible via my cell phone. Every buyer, every seller, every agent, everybody gets my cell phone number. So you call me and I'm available. If for whatever reason I'm doing something like this, my team is supporting it, either by letting you know that I will call you back. I call everybody back. So definitely the phone support, I think, is huge. I enjoy talking to people. I believe, and I tell people this all the time, I am old school. I believe that by talking, we understand each other. Right? You can get so lost. A tone can get lost on a text, on an email, even on a voice message. Sometimes we'll talk to our phone and it'll type the wrong thing. So as smart as those things are, they're never going to be smarter than us. And having a conversation with someone that can make them just feel more comfortable, I think that's something that Paramount offers that is incredible. And then, of course, the knowledge. I mean, what is brought to the table by myself and my team is second to none. I mean, the things that are in my brain, as far as just having so much experience in real estate, it's like, you can say you've been in real estate for 22 years, which is how long I've been in real estate, but you can sit at a desk and answer phones for 22 years and you were in real estate for 22 years, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's exactly where you're happy. And I do not feel any. I have friends of mine that have done that all their lives. I have been in real estate for 22 years. I have rolled up my sleeves and gotten myself down and dirty. I was on auction floors doing auctions, collecting hundreds and thousands of dollars in cash, from people at various parts of the States. I was deep knee down in REOs, evictions, deed in lieu. I mean, you can think of it, short sales. And I did this, and it wasn't just like, okay, Evelyn, I need you to do this. Like, I would learn about it. I would read about it. I would ask questions about it. I would sometimes even, while I was in title, ask one of my attorneys, well, if I was to prepare an addendum, like I needed to say this, why would it say? And they were like, why are you asking me that? The agents prepare addendums. And I was like, well, hypothetically, like if I had to do that. And I would just inquire about that. And now I can write an addendum like it's my job, which it is my job.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I always ask so many questions. And even now, when something's thrown my way, when, anything that I'm like, I really don't understand that, I will ask, I will Google, I will find it, I will read about it. And I think that continuing to educate ourselves, not only in the industry that we're in, but just to be better at life, right? To be able to be of service to the people in our
Yes.
lives. It's so important. So that experience, to me, I know that I bring it, I know that I have it, and I tell agents, you may not need it every time, but there's going to be that one file that is, you're counting on it to pay your bills, to make that commission. And it gets stuck because of something that maybe you haven't seen before, but I got it, or, we can work with the person, the team that can maybe give them an idea, maybe think outside the box. I don't see problems, I see solutions. And I always come and say, okay, I don't say this is the problem. No, okay, look, this is what we're encountering. This is how I think we can solve it. This is how I think we can fix it. What do you think? And then you get that. So I think being able to just have conversations with the other professionals instead of like, well, this is my lane, right? I'm a transaction coordinator. It has nothing to do with me. You guys figure it out. Let me know if you need me to write up an addendum or to let the client know. And that's it. Like, no, I like to learn, and I cannot, if I just sit at my desk and I tell myself, you know what, it's not my job. So I bring that solutions-oriented mentality to every transaction. And it really does allow the doors to open to just so many, closings and things that would normally just sit there and get stuck. So the experience, definitely the access, and, just being able to have buyers and sellers rely, like you said, on me, that they're not calling the agent 24/7 because they know they can call me and they'll get their answers. So that to me is important, because that's what I would want. If I'm buying a house, I would want someone that I can say, hey, listen, I have a question. And that person answers, and they're nice and they're accessible. So I give what I would want. I put myself in every buyer and every seller's shoes and see how I can possibly, make it a good experience for them. So
I love it. I love it. There's so many things and so many keys that you mentioned. And we're just so thrilled, Jackie and I. And now, or one of the most important questions that I'm going to ask you is, why do you think that partnering with J&E Title is the right fit for you and PCG? I know I kind of like mentioned it in my story and Instagram, but I really want people to hear the why coming from you, not from me.
Yes, guys. So super, super excited. We are partnering with J&E Title. We're very, very, very excited to just sort of be able to put those two great minds think alike, right? So for me, it was really important to partner with you guys for a couple of reasons. One, I absolutely love you guys, obviously personally, right? Which is very important for me, because you have to like people personally and know that their values and their goals and the way they work sort of, goes along with what you do. So for me, the culture that I have at PCG, with not only the people that I work with, clients, buyers, sellers, but also with my staff, very much is in synergy with you guys. You guys are hardworking. You go above and beyond for every client. There is no task too small or too big for Jackie and Erica, and that's who we are. We do not want to just show up. I don't want my ordinary self to be everybody's perception of extraordinary. I want to be extraordinary every day. And that's what you guys bring. Every day is, how can we be better? How can we make ourselves, be better than what we were yesterday? So we saw that, by getting to know you guys and by working with you guys. And, obviously we're blessed enough that we attend events. And we're very meticulous, right? We like to have everything all perfect and everything to be a certain way, and we have a certain style. And then we're like looking at Erica and Jackie, and we're like, wait a minute, you guys, wow, like we really are very much alike. So that was a no-brainer for us. The work ethic, the incredible wealth of knowledge that you guys have. You have been entitled, but you have been learning. You have been retaining. You have been wanting to know how you guys can be better for your clients, for your partners, right? Because we always say, okay, clients king, buyers, sellers, and the agents, which is for us, our clients, but how are we treating each other, right? How is it that we are treating each other on a day in which I may need you or you may need me? And for you guys have always supported, obviously PCG. You've always, just really, really cared about your clients and us, and being able to work together. And for me, that's key. as a closing specialist, I don't always get good feedback. I don't always get the help that I need. I don't always get, I guess you could say, the best treatment. Not that I'm complaining. I'm not here to be anybody's friend. I'm here to get my job done and do it to the highest of my standards, right? I can only control how I feel. And for you guys, it was just, I guess you could say, love at first sight. When I first worked on my first show with you guys, I was like, okay, I like this. This is awesome. Like, we can work together. I can talk to you guys, right? I can have a conversation about what's going on. Why did this happen, or why they didn't? And I think that was so important. And you guys didn't even know that I had the background. You respected my, you know, in my inquiries. I was like, okay, that's really cool. And then we just got to know each other better, obviously. And, you know, our values are just really, 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 you know, parallel to each other. And that to me is really, really important. So, because my brand, you know, as you mentioned, our brand is everything, right? It's not a logo. It's who are we? Who do we show up
Absolutely.
for work? And I'm passionate about Paramount Coordinating Group, also known as PCG, and you know, J&E, going above and beyond. And when an agent has that kind of synergy in their team, who you have in your team matters. Okay, because
Absolutely.
you can go out there and go generate more leads, and you're not worried that if the title company is fighting with your transaction coordinator or giving them a hard time or not understanding no, you don't have to worry about that. And that was really important to me, because teamwork is really, really makes the dream work. I know it's kind of sort of cliche, but that's exactly what it is. You know, when you can't talk to your partners and you can't talk to the team players, you're not going to succeed. So for us, very important. It was, again, a no-brainer when we you know, explored this, and I'm really excited. I think it's going to bring so much value to everyone that takes advantage of this partnership and allows themselves to have an incredible team work with them. So I'm excited.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're very excited as well, Jackie and I. And I think that, you know, we've been praying so much on this because, you know, we value each other and we serve. We like to bring value to our customers, you know, and we go above and beyond. I think that when you care about what you do, you bring in those people that really want to partner up with you, that really want to go above and beyond. Because at the end of the day, for me, home ownership is key. You know, home ownership is key for everything. It's pretty much what brings our industry, you know, everything that has to do with real estate. So that's why, you know, partnering up with you guys, you know, we're very grateful and blessed that we can bring this to the agents. So the last question that we have for you is, in your opinion, what value do you see that we can bring to those agents in need of a good title company and a closing specialist? I know you mentioned a few, but I know there's a lot of agents listening right now. And with this, you know, with this shift that we're going through, that's one of the reasons why we decided to partner up and bring those agents a lot of information. So in your words, how can we better them being a good title company and a good closing specialist to those agents?
I think the first two words that come to my mind when you ask that question is commitment and loyalty. I think that having committed and loyal people in your team is so important, right? I mean, we can sit here and talk about how much we know and how much we've been doing this and how much we haven't done it and why we're better than everybody else. But if you're not committed and you're not loyal to those people that come and give you the opportunity, then your knowledge means absolutely nothing, you know? So I think that having the knowledge that we have and having the understanding that we go above and beyond, I think that having a team like J&E and Paramount Coordinating Group by your side is crucial. You have loyal and committed individuals that are just as excited and just as in tune to your transactions. For them to close, it's not just another file on our desk. You know, it's a buyer that we care about. It's a seller that we care about because you care about them, because we know it's your bread and butter, right? And you're trusting your livelihood on our hands, and that is not taken lightly. I think a lot of people feel like, well, you know, I'll give them my business and, you know, they're just gonna, it's another file. No, we understand the commitment that we are bringing to the team. And that is, if this doesn't close, you don't make money. So for me, I think it's just definitely commitment and loyalty, which is such a rare thing to find these days. And that's definitely, you know, obviously so many more things, but all those without commitment and loyalty are really, you know, eventually it's going to fade out, right? If you're not committed to your work, and if you're not loyal to your clients, you can have all the knowledge you want, you can show up all you want, and it's just going to fade out. You're going to get burnt out. You're going to get tired, and you don't want that. So I think commitment and loyalty for me are definitely the two things that come to mind when you ask me that question.
That is so
Awesome.
beautiful that you mentioned that. And I am so glad that you guys are partnering up, because seeing two brilliant women, well, three in this
Three.
case, you know, these two teams, and having, you know, that kind of like passion about for what you do, and about serving, because at the end of the day, we forget, I always say this, but we forget that we're dealing with people, and we're in business with people. It's not just a transaction, you know, it's not just about money. So that it's part of your brand, part of who you are, what you bring to the table. And that is the reason why people will want to work with you guys forever. You know, after that first experience, after that first closing, it's going to be like, no, I need to, you know, work with these ladies, because these ladies are going to bring it, and I'm going to feel safe. We have to remember, guys, I'm sure that most of our audience here today, it's in the real estate industry of some way. But we work with people that don't have like maybe the amount of knowledge that we have about, you know, a transaction, buying a property, loans, and all of that. So it's kind of scary, you know, going into a transaction, buying a home, investing in something. It's kind of scary. I mean, you have to remember that, and you have to remember that you have to educate your client and tell them and make them feel safe, make them feel like, you know, what's happening now. I got you, you know? So I'm glad that you guys are partnering up, because I can sense that this is the feeling that everyone that works with you is going to get.
Yes, no, I agree. And to add to that, Day, I love that you brought that up. To be able to speak to clients in a way that they can understand that
Right.
real estate lingo, right? I find myself being a translator so many times because they don't understand it, you know, and we forget that we're dealing with people, right? What if that was your grandmother? What if that was your aunt, your mom? Like, think about that. And this is something that people don't think about. You know, they're human beings that have never even probably seen a contract in their lives, and think about it. We do real estate as long as we have, right? And when I don't know about you guys, but when I do a personal transaction of mine, I'm always nervous. I was like, oh my God, I hope everything goes good. I hope everything got executed right. You know, you start sweating. And I've done that a few times. And I remember the feeling. And instead of just forgetting about that, I keep it alive in my mind, because it drives me every day to say, when I'm talking to a client who's asking me a question that I'm like, wow, instead of saying you don't know this, saying, you know what, I completely understand, and then speaking to them, or they get something in the email without a phone call, letting them know what they got. So I love that you brought that up, Dave, because it is very, very lost. You know, the automation has become the way in which we do things. And listen, we automate a very small portion of our business, but it is a personal touch of someone being able to say, Evelyn, you just send me an email, I don't understand it, or putting the email in a way in which they can understand. They don't do this every day. We do. You know, they have no idea what the next step is or why. And I think that's really important that you said that, because being able to bring that to real estate is so crucial right now, because everybody just wants to do the bare minimum, and that's it. And that's not acceptable. It's not okay.
And we have so many great news, guys, because Evelyn and us, we're going to be doing trainings 101 and live. So that's coming up in your inbox soon. We're going to schedule a couple of trainings, how we're going to, you know, how you should present an offer, what items we need, etc. So we're very excited about what we're bringing to you guys. I know we have a big audience today, guys. If you have any questions, we don't usually ask for questions, but we have a big audience. If you have questions, you can let us know. If not, send us an email for anything that you guys need. We are here for you. We're not going anywhere. So anything that you guys need, give us a call, give us a shout out. We got your back. Just give us a transaction, and Evelyn and us will take care of it from beginning to end. And like she said, if you don't make it, if you don't do that closing and you don't make it happen, we don't close. So nobody eats. So that's our goal, to get you to the closing table.
Yes, absolutely. And just, you know, for you guys to get acquainted, for those of you that don't know us, follow us on Instagram. Mine is @PCG_helps. We also have a website, Paramount Coordinating Group.com. And we just relaunched that, and there's a lot of information. You can actually see where we are going to be next if you want to see that. And just, you know, obviously a little bit about us, and my cell phone's on there. We have obviously full access. And I think that's important, right? It's nothing worse than calling someone and they don't pick up the phone, or you get an automated message. So call us, and Erica said, just give us the first transaction, allow us to be able to wow you. And we're not selling you perfection. I want everyone to understand we're human, we make mistakes. My staff is human, they make mistakes, but it's about owning up to those and being able to really just excel the expectations of the client to say, you know what, I can fix that. We're going to fix it together. And that's really, really important as well. There's such lack of owning, when things don't go our way. That I see it every day. Oh, no, it was that one. Let's pass the buck. No, it was their fault. No, it was that one's fault. Well, if that one wouldn't have looked at me that way, I wouldn't know. If we make a mistake, we make it, and we will fix it, and we will come, with even more arms to just fixing what is going on, if that is the case. I think it's accountability is really, really important. And just like we want you guys to hold us accountable, and you say, you know what, Evelyn, I didn't really like the way that was done, whatever, we also want you to know that we hold ourselves accountable to a very high standard. So sometimes you guys don't even know a mistake has happened, because I'm already like, okay, I did not like that. So just know that we're here. We are not going anywhere. That is for sure. I seriously feel like I just started really doing more and more with Paramount Coordinating Group, and really getting out there and people getting to know me, and me meeting so many wonderful people, like, of course, Janie Title. So just call us, and like Erica said, give us a chance. What do you have to lose, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we're letting you know we're here for you guys. So just give it a shot and see what happens.
Love that. Thank you so much, Evelyn, for joining us today. We are so excited about this, guys. Like she said, follow her on Instagram. You can follow us also at Magnet Monday to stay up to date with, whoever's coming next week, because we always have a special guest bringing our value for you guys. So thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a wonderful conversation, and we can wait to see you next Monday.
Yes, very excited.
See you next Monday. Thank you, Evelyn. Have a
Bye,
great
guys.
week, guys.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.